I feel honored to welcome our guest, Mr. Valdemar Prado. He has been a member of World Association for former United Nations Interns and Fellows, and since 2003 as a Senior Research Fellow in Science and Technology for Development, and currently serving as an Executive Vice President of the organization. He has been teaching and on research positions at several universities in Mexico, Latin America, and US. During this time, he has been involved in developing and implementing technology solutions for development in emerging and developing countries. Held professorship in physics, mathematics, computer science, biomedical science, and technology. He has been commissioned to participate in the different forums and conferences at ECO, SOC, DPI, and WSIS in topics related with the impact of ITCs and development, as well as the transfer of technology at the United Nations. He also has been involved and consulted in financing for development projects for communities in several regions of the world. He also has been consultant, advisor, and facilitator for science and technology transfer for the government of Chile, Colombia, Peru, Dominican Republic, Honduras, Bolivia, Costa Rica, Panama, Venezuela, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Brazil, and Mexico. Also in the areas of creation of local capacities. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Valdemar Prado.
Mute and speak. Kindly unmute and speak. You're welcome.
Okay. Namaste to everybody. In a sense, I am going to continue to speak to Dr. Vibhuti in the sense of how do we integrate our spirituality in our daily life, whether it be in professional life or activities or personal life and our spiritual life, and how to I will share with you some ideas in differentiating how we approach spirituality. Usually, we associate spirituality with religion. Most people do that, but they are two different things. Even though a religion can be spiritual, sometimes they are not. They can be worldly and materialistic and non-spiritual. Spirituality, on the other hand, is the way we relate to our internal soul, to our spirit, and how we put that into practice in our daily life. Most religions usually have dogmas, rituals, system of beliefs, and clergy, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, spirituality doesn't have any of this. Through spirituality, we relate to the world, and we try to find answers to the questions, the eternal questions that the human being has. Who am I? Where do I come from? Where do I go to? And so, in a sense, our spiritual life, it's more personal, and it drives the way we search for answers to these questions in life. Traditionally, the exoteric, what we know in religions is the exoteric part. But most religions come from some esoteric part, some, let's say, hidden part. And these esoteric part especially comes usually from traditions that have led humanity in the world since time immemorial. In the spiritual traditions of yoga, for instance, and the Vedic tradition, there are two forces that shape everything in the universe. And those two forces are known as energy and consciousness, or Purusha and Prakriti. Energy and consciousness are the essence of life. They are manifested in everything that exists, whether it be the further reaches of the cosmos or the universe, or the depths of our human soul. These forces shape the body and create personality. They are the forces of our evolutionary process and the deepest expressions of the divine within us. Energy, for instance, permeates and shapes everything in the existence. It's an indivisible unity and manifests as a powerful movement it's what moves everything in life. It knows the truth and lives in the now, the here and now. The force of consciousness, on the other hand, is our connection to our soul, and it's expressed through the mind and through our feelings, our emotions, and our will, and every act of our life. In the human realm, energy and consciousness manifest themselves in different forms, like uh, our sensuality, our love, our sexuality, our creativity, and like the atmospheric jet streams that swirl around the Earth, these forces permeate everything that we live through. They surround us, our consciousness connects them, and it expands and reaches toward the essence of their movements. Uh, they are the vibrating forces that we connect in every aspect of an expression of us. They provide the possibility of unifying our dualistic nature. And by allowing these forces to enter in our daily existence, we bring creativity and joy in our lives. But also, many times we block these forces, and this is what causes our problems of relations in our lives. If we allow these forces to flow through our beings, then we can use them in order to create happiness and self-realization. For instance, love and sensuality is a transformative force of life, and creation is the unifying force of love, sexuality, and sensuality. The expression they express themselves in our physical life. They are a constant commitment to truth and our quest for fulfillment. When we confront the obstacles that appear in our life, uh, usually we use these internal energies in order to give us strength to overcome the obstacles and the blockages that appear uh, in sorrow and pain, but also in things like disease and the way our life moves. Uh, it is the task in our life, and many times it's difficult uh, since, for instance, we talk about love as something that occurs naturally, but in the process of evolution, love is something that we have to struggle to let it manifest in ourselves, because we have to, in order to love, we have uh, to take out the barriers that don't allow us to express naturally, and we have to renounce to our selfishness. And only when we do that, we are able to download the barriers that prevent us from relating to other people. And that takes will and commitment. And it doesn't come naturally. So it is something that we have to work consciously in order to achieve. And in general, it's a it's something that we give for granted, and we confuse it with many other feelings and situations that basically come from the need to fulfill our own needs. So, for instance, love is the creative force of the universe, but in order to allow it to manifest in ourselves, we have to do a conscious effort to download these barriers that prevent us from relating naturally and spontaneously to the world. So usually we have an internal life and of relations with other people, but and it could be also with the groups that we associate with and with uh, the humanity in general. And whether we relate to a single person or to the community, we have to do the conscious, we have to make the conscious effort to download our uh, aspects of selfishness and self-centered ego. So in traditional spiritual forces, we many traditions in in the past have de- have designed methods through which we can help ourselves. In general, modern science has recently discovered that many of the traumas, conflicts, and neurotic processes that we have in our lives nest in our body, and they create mus- muscle shields that rigidities and things that make our body stiff in many ways. And that's why some methods like hatha yoga or meditation and what the Vedic tradition proposes help us to undo these body shields and release the energy that doesn't allow our consciousness to flourish. So late, recently only the these practices have been proven scientifically, but they show that we, through these practices, we can actually liberate all those traumas, complexes, inhibitions that we grow with, and they become neurotic in our life, neurotic processes in our life that we need to transcend in order to become loving and spiritual. So it's important to know that there are methods through which we can transcend these neurotic processes that we have in our lives that make our life painful and not fluent. So I I finished with this my participation, and I thank this incredible group that uh, created this uh, event.
Thank you very much, respected Dr. Valdemar ji. Thank you for bringing it in light that how spirituality is beyond the religious dogmas and the lingering question of life, as you raised, where do we come from and where do I go? And you also mentioned about the forces, consciousness and energy, Prakriti and Purush, and their interplay. And you also went into the neurosciences and how, as Gita Krishna says, mind in its own place. It's the best enemy and the worst. It's the worst enemy and the best friend. So thank you very much, Dr. Waldemar, for bringing us into this light of new consciousness and Prakriti and Purush complex. Thank you very much for bringing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Mr. Valdemar Prado for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness and sharing his views. Thank you so much.